Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's exclusive webinar, Deliver Superior Customer Experience with NGINX and App Protect Insights. I am Abhishek Singh Bhadoria, Assistant Manager at Ashnik, your host for this webinar event. In today's digital world, customer expectations are constantly rising, and ensuring seamless application performance while maintaining security can be a major challenge. Issues like unexpected downtime, slow response time, and vulnerabilities in your infrastructure can lead to lost revenue and damage to your brand's reputation. Today, we'll tackle these challenges head on by showing how insights from NGINX and App Protect offer a powerful platform to optimize application uptime, security, and performance. Our agenda is packed with our agenda is packed with valuable presentations, demo, and discussion that will provide you with the tools and strategies to ensure your digital services meet and exceed customer expectations. Okay, so we'll start off with the agenda for the event. Now let's quickly now let's quickly walk through today's agenda. I'm just confirming whether the slide is changing. Let me start the share screen once. There's some malfunction happening here. Yeah, so sorry for this. We'll begin with an overview of how our customer experience is shaped by digital infrastructure and applications delivery platform by Ritika, followed by detailed presentation of NGINX product range, including App Protect from F5's Rohit. Followed that, Ravi Papnoi and Mansi Bora from Ashnik will present insights from NGINX infrastructure, focusing on real-time monitoring and how it can improve your incident response and system performance. Then we'll dive into our panel discussion moderated by Sachin Dabe, where industry experts will share their thoughts on solving customer experiences challenges using NGINX, where we are happy to have Bhavya Upadhyay from F5 and Jagdish Narayanan from Equifax joining us to share their insights. Finally, we'll conclude with an Q&A session where you can get answers to your specific questions. So without any further ado, let me introduce Ritika Sagar, Regional Sales Manager at Ashnik. She brings 20 plus years of experience in the industry, having worked with companies such as IBM, McKinsey, BCG Consulting, and from last 5 years, she is with Ashnik. Today, she will be discussing on how exceptional customer experience is a key driver of business growth. Ritika, the stage is yours. But first, let me just also give you everybody a heads up that if they have any questions, they can upload it on the Q&A sections, and our experts will take that uh, in the Q&A round. Ritika, over to you.
Thank you, Abhishek. A warm welcome from me, Ashnik, and F5 to all the participants. I hope you all had a good lunch and I will not get you bored. And this webinar will bring a lot of insights and value add to your business and your work. So today's agenda is about customer experience. Business exists because of customers, and their happiness is key to success. In today's digital world, that happiness is deeply tied to the experience you provide. If your business is to grow, delivering an exceptional customer experience is essential. We all know that today's customer entire perception of your business often comes through their mobile screens. If your website goes down, if an OTP isn't received, or if a search query fails, if they are unable to check balances, these small frustrations can turn into big problems. You risk creating dissatisfied customers or even losing them to a competitor. This is why a robust digital infrastructure is not just important, it's essential. It's the backbone that supports your business ability to deliver consistent, seamless, and satisfying experiences to your customers, no matter where they are and what they need. I will move to next slide now. As we, Abhishek, could you please move to next slide?
Yeah.
Yeah. As we dive deeper into the digital domain, the complexities in managing and delivering applications continue to grow. The complexities of modern digital infrastructure stem from the explosion of application sprawl, the east-west traffic, and the challenges of managing multiple deployment platforms. These complexities directly impact application performance, reliability, and security, which are all crucial to delivering a seamless and positive customer experience. In my next slide, I would show you the web infrastructure. If you see this, the web infrastructure is incredibly vast and complex. In this vast infrastructure, managing your application layer, database layer, and network infrastructures effectively requires a combination of advanced tools, strategic planning, and real-time monitoring. By mastering these complexities, you can ensure that your digital services are not only robust, but also agile enough to meet the demands of modern business. The web layer in web infrastructure architecture is indeed crucial, as it serves as the front line of interactions between users and the underlying systems. This layer typically includes key components like load balancer. Load balancer typically distributes incoming traffic across multiple servers to ensure high availability, reliability, and optimized performance. It also helps prevent any single server from becoming overwhelmed and ensures users have a smooth experience. Then we see firewall that acts as a security barrier, controlling and filtering incoming and outgoing network traffic based on the predefined security rules. It protects the web layer from unauthorized access and potential threats. Then we see web application firewall, specifically designed to protect web applications by filtering and monitoring HTTP traffic. It helps defend against common web-based attacks such as SQL injections, cross-site scripting, and other vulnerabilities. The web layer directly handles user interactions, making it crucial for delivering a seamless and secure user experience. Any issues in this layer, such as performance, bottlenecks, or security breaches, can immediately impact the user interface and overall customer satisfaction. By effectively managing traffic, securing access, and defending against attacks, the web layer ensures that the application remains available, responsive, and safe for users. So, in this essence, the web layer acts as the gatekeeper, balancing user demands while safeguarding the infrastructure behind it. NGINX is one of the widest uses web server today. If you see the next slide, NGINX is one of the most powerful and complete tools out there today for large architectures. The use cases can help anyone resolve almost all difficulties that appear while working in a microservices environment without dropping focus on business. NGINX is evolved as a software load balancer, API gateway, reverse proxy. NGINX App Protect is a lightweight, fast web designed for modern apps and DevOps environments. NGINX empowers your web infrastructure, making it more efficient, secure, and scalable. Now, to truly optimize your web infrastructure, insights are the key. In the next slide, you will see the insights from this web infra is important for customer experience. To create a good infrastructure available, you need to ensure that all your applications are available and functioning optimally. You must have a clear understanding on how your infrastructure is working in real time. You should be able to detect issues before they impact your customers, ensuring smooth and uninterrupted services. You need deep visibility into your server's behavior to proactively identify and resolve issues, preventing potential downtime and ensuring a seamless experience for your customers. Analyzing log data from different sources helps you identify patterns of events, giving you a better understanding of your network's activity. This helps in maintaining performance and also in securing the network against vulnerabilities and threats through effective anomaly detection. By continuously monitoring and analyzing your web infrastructure, you can ensure it remains resilient, secure, and ready to deliver exceptional customer experience. With this, I'm here. In fact, Ashnik is here along with F5 to share new ways for you to improve, consume, manage, and analyze data through these insights, designed to help you deliver superior customer experience. So get ready to unlock the full potential of your web infrastructure, ensuring optimal performance, scalability, and user satisfactions with NGINX Plus and its insights. Thank you.
Thank you, Ritika, for those valuable insights into how complex digital infrastructure impacts customer experience and business performance. Okay, folks, time for our first poll for the day. Requesting you all to be ready for the first poll. The first poll is live now. We'll give it a good 30 odd seconds more. All right, I'll conclude the poll. Thank you all. So we'll move on to the next bit. Okay, next up we have Rohit Andani, Solutions Engineering Manager at F5 Networks. Rohit brings extensive experience. Rohit brings extensive experience from organizations like Gartner, HCL, and Paldion, and he is an expert in cloud and DevOps practices. Today, Rohit will provide insights into how NGINX product range, including App Protect and Instance Manager. Rohit, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Abhishek. I'll quickly share my screen, and I hope you have to enable that for me. It's not able to share it. But yeah, I'll start my pitch, and then maybe you allow me to, share my screen.
Yeah, you can share it now.
Okay, yeah, great, thanks. Okay, great. So when it comes to NGINX, I know most of you must be already aware about it. And since it's available as an open source, so half of the customer, or in fact, 80% of the customer, or the guys whom we interact, and we got to know that they are already consuming NGINX as part of their architecture. But the real power of NGINX relies with the plus version of it, where we are unlocking a lot of benefit of using NGINX as an API gateway, or whether we are using NGINX as a web application firewall, or we are using NGINX as a full-fledged load balancer in any of the network. Now imagine you are running a load balancer, which of course based out of hardware or based out of software, which is bound with certain capacity of handling the amount of throughput, okay, based on the license limit it has, versus the NGINX, which has the unlimited capability to handle the load without barring you for any throughput or any session-based the restriction on it. So that's the power of NGINX Plus, where you can consume it as a full-fledged load balancer, and you can unlock the unlimited throughput power of it. And the same throughput can also be replicated to the WAF as an engine. So you can now have a flexibility to use it a full-fledged WAF, which has its own rule set rather than relying on the mode security. And it gives you the more power and more security to your application. So the module that you see is served by a single module of NGINX Plus, where you can run it as part of your VM infrastructure, or as part of your container infrastructure, or as part of your microservices infrastructure, and you can consume any of these of the modules of NGINX. Now, in today's session, we're going to discuss about what use cases specifically user use, or a customer or large organization use from the NGINX, and how you can monetize those use cases your infrastructure. And then the last section of the slides gonna cover about what are the benefit of going with the plus version. Okay, why you probably shift your deployment from an OSS version, open source version, to the paid version of NGINX. Okay, what are the benefits that include? So the first use case, which is most commonly used case, where NGINX is deployed as an API gateway, or where NGINX is deployed as a microservices gateway, what are the different things that we do? Okay, what are the different use cases which we do? And we know when it comes to the APIs, we always have multiple APIs endpoint in the backend, and there is always confusion to choose the load balancing schema against these path-based routing, the endpoints that we have. The traditional load balancer, of course, cannot have that level of visibility where they can map with the path, and then they can decide on the path specifically where you want to really route the traffic to, at what ratio you want to route the traffic to specific API endpoint, and so on. So NGINX unlock the power of path-based routing, where you can make the custom decision based on the path available on your APIs, or whether the API endpoint names, as well as the resources which are tagged with the specific path. The second advantage of an API gateway is you can do the request and response manipulation. Now, a lot of organization actually don't want to disclose their information to the end user, okay? And therefore, they put a proxy in between. Now, Nginx actually take the input on a request URL, which is a dummy URL, and in backend, it can actually originate it or send it to the original or origin URL that you have. So now with this request manipulation feature, what you're getting is you're hiding the actual details. You're hiding the site map, which is one of the security component of an API gateway that Nginx is able to deliver. The third component is the service discovery. And we all know, like in the Kubernetes environment and in today's world, when we are, having a lot of containerization across our infrastructure, now service discovery become very important, because we have to scale in, we have to do the scale out. We have to, probably, increase our infrastructure based on the demand and the number of users who are accessing our services. Now, service discovery and mapping these services to the load balancer, or the reverse proxy, or maybe an API gateway, has become very important. Because if the gateway is not capable of adding these newly introduced services, then of course we'll still stuck to, and the gateway will become the bottleneck, because how we will be able to understand that there are 20 more containers are available to serve the additional load, which is requested by the user. So Nginx has a capability to do the service discovery, where we can map your APIs of the Kubernetes, or either it is a Red Hat or a VMware Tenju. We can map it with their APIs. We understand the language of what they're talking about and how many new services they are, spinning up. And the same can be part of the configuration automatically. You don't have to really do any manual configuration there. Custom error handling, you do not want to disclose what a 503 your server is giving, what information your server is leaking as part of the 503 error, whether it is disclosing the what kind of web server that you're running in the backend. We can do that custom handling of error messages and so on. And the most important one for the APIs is the rate limiting. You are onboarding a partner, or you're onboarding a customer. Now you want to put a rate limit for them to access their resources, correct? Or access your resources. You can define the rate limiting for both inbound and outbound flow using this API gateway, which gives you, of course, a more of power to your business, where you can have the controlled billing from any of the partner that you onboard on your customer, correct? A/B testing, or you can say the canary testing, or blue-green deployment testing, all of these are supported. You can have a different namespace configured to do the diversion of load between site A and site B, and so on. So that's the power of API gateway of Nginx. Now, if you look at the right side of the screen, what are the different modules are available as part of the Nginx Plus, which of course is not available with any of the OS's version of Nginx. You can have the entire access control there, which means you can have your own set of user-defined or token-defined on Nginx, where the APIs can be authenticated. You can form a zero trust architecture, and you can say, hey, if this user has these many details, then only I will allow to access to my API infrastructure. You can offload the SSL, TLS, and mutual TLS, for an example, to ensure the only authenticated clients are able to access your APIs. or your resources, you can integrate it with the single sign-on or a JWT token or OIDC authentication, where you have the modern authentication scheme also supported for your API gateway. And the same API gateway can also now protect your APIs against the DDoS and against the web vulnerabilities or APIs vulnerability that your API has. So it has a immense power, which gives you all the use cases that is very much relevant for your APIs that you're planning to host on your cloud or your infrastructure. And of course, from business point of view, if you look at the business angle, when I'm building an API, I'm building a business, and the business is purely based on the APIs. You take any of the new age business today's, they all are based on the APIs only. Now, quota limit, time restriction, bandwidth throttling, mirror for the billing is becoming very much important for the business owner, because they don't really want to sell their services in the freebie, correct? They want to have some sort of quota assignment, so that whosoever is consuming their APIs as part of the business model, they'll have certain limitation, they'll have certain visibility in order to pay the customer accordingly. And with the support of the latest protocol, which is GraphQL and SOP, we have the Agile API gateway, which can, highly programmable to support any sort of functionality that you need, which means you can write your own Lua script, and you can modify the behavior of the product itself in terms of how we are handling the API call. And if you want to design any specific workflow of yours, you can do that with the programmability feature of API gateway that we have. The second use case we have with the API security, where this same instance of NGINX Plus can also act as a full-fledged web application firewall for your legacies application, as well as the same NGINX Plus can also act as an API security. So OAPS is an organization which timely, introduced their top 10 categories of attacks across the API space, across the web space, and across the, now, of course, they have introduced the LLM top 10 also, machine learning top 10 also. So now NGINX has a coverage of entire OAPS categories top 10 coverage, whether it is APIs or whether it is web. So the WAF component that we have in NGINX is covering the entire the top 10 coverage of all the attacks. Plus, it has its own signature. Okay. When I'm talking about the own signature, the count of the signature is highest in the industry, somewhere around 8,000 different signature that we carry as part of the WAF engine that we build. And this actually meet the PCI compliance. So if you are from a financial regulatory or you're supporting any of the financial regulatory guideline, then PCI compliance become more important for you to follow. The NGINX WAF has control, which allows you to meet with the financial regulatory requirement because of the the mutual TLS, because of the the data encryption as well as the signature that it carries. And the best part of this WAF is you do not really have to manually define your APIs, okay, or the endpoints to it. You can simply import your Open API spec file, or rather, you can say the Swagger file import feature is there with the NGINX, where all the API definition can be imported at once, and then based on the endpoint, you can define what policy you really wanted to deploy against which API, and you can go to granular. Okay, so when I'm talking about the the policies of the WAF, it can be as granular as you just want to define a policy based on the parameter of login, rather than the entire URI. You can define the specific parameter against which you want to put some specific signature, so on, or exception, and so on. So that level of granularity there in this API and the WAF protection that we have. And of course, it's pretty easy to integrate with your existing CI/CD pipeline, where you can automate the entire flow. So the moment you are onboarding an application, before it really went live to the production, you can first go it via the SAST and DAST testing. And based on the output of that, you can define the WAF policy, so that while you're releasing your application in the production, it has all the controls already available and enabled by default. Okay. This WAF also powered by the F5 threat campaign, where we are giving you the real-time map of the active threats which are available. Okay. So maybe in North America, there is any active threat, and that using the same technology as yours, maybe an Oracle WebLogic that you are using in your environment. So in this dashboard, you will get to know which are the different threats which are active, And the same thing can also be, impact your infrastructure. So therefore, threat campaign feed can help you to protect against the 0 days vulnerability. That's again part of the NGINX WOF as a component. The third use case of the controller, the NGINX, is NGINX can act as an ingress controller. So think from a perspective where you are running a very large scale of, the application, and your business demands high scale ingress controller to handle the load of the traffic. And you want to have a use case like a mutual TLS. Now, Vanilla's egress controller, whether it is part of any of the the platform or the virtualized platform or containerized platform that you use, they are meant to handle the basic use cases of the ingress controller, where they can just do the simple SSL offloading with the specified protocol. And then, of course, they have certain limitation in terms of exposing your application to the internet. Now, Nginx Ingress Controller is a de facto choice for the entire Kubernetes community. Around 70% of the market share in this market is making us, one of the favorable choice for the developers. So what we does is we integrate ourselves with the Red Hat, we integrate ourselves with the VMware, we integrate ourselves with the entire ecosystem of the cloud provider, whether it's Amazon or it is Azure or Google. If we are even using the Fargate, we have a play there where we can still act as an ingress controller, and then we can serve the purpose of accepting the traffic from the outside, and then distributing that to your container infrastructure. So Nginx can also run as a container within your containerized environment as an ingress controller, and then expose your services to internet. And while exposing, you can have all the use cases of having an SSL offloading to mutual TLS. And the best part of this ingress controller is you can also top up this ingress controller with the WOF functionality, which means you are getting all the details of a load. You are getting all the features of the load balancer, as well as you are getting all the feature of the WOF, while the traffic is being distributed from out to in, or either between your container to container services. So we are covering here, as part of this use case, entire internal network as well as the external network within your environment. The entire show of Nginx can be centralized. Okay, so the largest customer that we have in India, he's using around 600 plus Nginx deployment. And now you can think of the complexity of managing 600 individual gateways in his environment. Now, to simplify that, we releases the management view, and the product name is Nginx Instance Manager. Now, the customer can utilize the Nginx Instance Manager to have the centralized visibility around what's happening on your Nginx number 10 or 20 or 30 or maybe 1,000 and so on. So all these Nginx can report under a single umbrella, where we are not just giving you the visibility about uptime and downtime of Nginx. We also ensure all the reporting parameters from the availability, from the CPUs, resourcing, as well as the traffic preview is something you can easily fetch it from these the centralized unit. The power of this instance manager is such that you can have this instance manager to also manage your open source instances. So which means it's not only supporting the paid version of Nginx, you can also have your open source Nginx also gone under a single console. And then this console will also give you the visibility around the version of Nginx that you're running is actually carrying any vulnerabilities or not. So let's suppose, and this is very common across the India, and of course across the global. So whenever we are talking to any customer and he's saying, hey, I'm using the Nginx, but I'm not sure what version I'm using because my developer downloaded it and he's running my site. Now I don't care like what version and what kind of an Nginx that he's using. So this tool can do the auto discovery of Nginx within your environment, and will be able to give you the report where you can see, hey, my Nginx is being used under this server, and these are the vulnerabilities associated with the version of Nginx that you are using. And of course, since it shows the vulnerability, it will also show the patching information or upgrade information that is available. So a very useful tool to do this, the entire lifecycle management of your APIs, as well as managing the configuration, as well as managing the, the vulnerabilities of the instance that you have. The Nginx Instance Manager and the Nginx itself can also be having have the the power to integrate with the third-party matrices. So you can have your Nginx talking to the third-party tools, likes of Grafana, Kibana, Elk Stack, and you named anyone, correct? So we have the power to integrate with any of these tools. And there you can have the entire logging plugged into your SOC. Okay, so if you're managing a SOC and you are correlating the multiple securities devices data, just to see what kind of an attack you are receiving and how to respond to those attacks, Nginx can play again an important role layer to give the entire visibility to your centralized the logging system. And as part of today's session, we're going to cover what kind of log matrices can be populated from the Nginx, and those can be used as part of your the SOC operation. Now, important one, what are the business values of using Nginx Plus? Of course, with the OSS, since it's a community edition, and if you're running an enterprise, organization over a OSS version or community version, you will not know like how to fix an issue, and then you have to, probably post your entire configuration file on the community site to say, hey, I'm facing this issue. Can you please help me? And what you're really giving is your crown jewel, your configuration file. And people on the internet are actually able to get to know about what kind of services that you're running behind the Nginx, right? So with Nginx Plus, what you're getting is, as part of the business value, none of the business really wanted to disclose their, the specific data about the configuration and so on. So with Nginx Plus, you are getting the enterprise support 24/7. You have a TAC number given to you, which you can call, and you can get to know about why this particular functionality is not working and why there is this particular thing has happened and so on, correct? And you're getting the security patching. So if your Nginx is something which is having some sort of vulnerabilities, we take the responsibility to provide you the patch so that you can quickly patch it before somebody can really breach into your environment. We also have services like professional services, which can actually do the architectural support, which can actually do the migration of your, the APIs or your the configuration to our Nginx devices. And of course, it has a, the roadmap. So since it's the paid version, company hold the liabilities to introduce the new feature. And that's where you see the Nginx earlier was using the mode security versus the a full-fledged WAF engine that it used. The instance manager was never there in the Nginx ecosystem. We introduced the instance manager and so on. And of course, on the Nginx itself, now you will gonna see a lot of the improvement as a product. And then of course it has sorry, yeah, it has a lot of management and control there, where you can have the different licensing available, where you can have use it for the north to south and east to west traffic control. And of course, infrastructure simplification, the integration with the vendor like Red Hat, VMware, cloud, and so on, making it more agile to use to any of the infrastructure. This slide specifically talk about what's there in OSS, what's there in Nginx Plus. Sorry. If you see majorly the session persistence, the HA, the authentication support, the rate limiting, dynamic reconfiguration are the major one where customer really struggle with the OSS, apart from the support and the feature release and vulnerabilities. These are the few core feature where you're using Nginx as an reverse proxy or as a load balancer. You always miss out these features, correct? If you want to put a persistency based on IP or based on session, there's something you cannot do. If you want to introduce the authentication, you cannot do. So this is a table which explain what's you gonna get as part of the Nginx Plus over an OSS. So with this, I'll thank you. And of course, I see a couple of questions. I'll probably, try to reply it on the chat. Back to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Rohit, for showing us how versatile Nginx is to be used for load balancing, web serving, and API management while boosting performance and reliability. Also, we got a good insight on how App Protect can be used as a wall. So I'll just carry on with the presentation ahead. All right, then. It's time for yet another poll, guys. I'll quickly launch the poll. We'll give it a good 30, 40 odd seconds for you guys to poll it. The Poll starts in 3, 2, 1. There it is. It's a single choice question, so you can poll it accordingly. Giving it 10 more seconds. All right, ending the poll. There are the results. Okay, so now let's move on with our presentation for today. Yeah. Next up, we have Ravi Papnoi, Deputy CEO at Ashnik, and Mansi Bora, AI/ML engineer at Ashnik. Together, they'll share their expertise on real-time monitoring and incident response using NGINX Insights. First up, we'll hear from Ravi Papnoi. He has been instrumental in creating a foundation for open source technologies and for Ashnik in India in the last 5 years. Having helped large enterprises, especially in the BFSI sector, to adopt open source technologies for running business critical application, he brings critical insights into the importance of digital infrastructure into customer experience. Ravi, over to you.
Thank you, Abhishek, and welcome once again to all the attendees we have today. I think we have very well covered about what all the NGINX platform offers and what are the reasons how we can get a better customer experience by leveraging all the capabilities of NGINX and by making sure that all the insights that are present are properly monitored and utilized. Along with Mansi, will talk today about the monitoring and what all insights we can gather from the NGINX instances and how they can be helpful in offering a seamless experience to the customers. When we think about web infrastructure, traditionally what comes to mind is a variety of sources. You have web servers, you have reverse proxies, you have firewalls, and so on and so forth. But generally, what happens is that there is only a basic and point in time information that is available for monitoring. And what it does, it helps you get access or get insight about a particular instance, a particular service, but it doesn't really give you a complete picture. It does not help you to get a complete view of your web infra. It does not really help you solve what exactly may be the problem in any of these moving pieces. So what we are trying to achieve today is that we are going to fetch metrics from different types of web infrastructure, and we will try to do some correlation between these. We will try to fuse some machine learning into it to give you to present a view that can become a unified view for a customer to have a look into, which helps them get a complete sense of everything that is going on in their web environment, and which makes it possible for you to be able to take actions on whatever problems you may be facing and be able to tackle those in time. So that's what we are trying to achieve. We'll try to achieve in today's sessions through the demo that we have prepared. And for the demo, I'll invite Mansi to take you guys through the demo. Over to you, Mansi. Thank you.
Okay, next, Mansi. We have Mansi Bora, a passionate engineer with hands-on experience on deploying machine learning models to get critical insights. With keen interest in data science, she is able to unearth new dimensions of data. Today, she will showcase how machine learning enhances predictability and reliability of NGINX infrastructure, helping you stay ahead of potential issues. Mansi, please take over.
Thank you, Abhishek. Okay, so let's get started. So imagine you are managing some critical online service and customers are flocking to your website. And every day your servers are inundated with requests from users and bots alike. So while some requests are legitimate, some might pose threat. And without having a clear picture of what's happening, spotting issues like security threats or the performance bottlenecks can be like searching for a needle in a haystack. So what is the solution for this? So your web application firewall, your load balancer, your web servers, they are generating vast amount of logs, which captures everything from your potential security threats to your user interactions. And drowning in these long log text can be very annoying. Like you'll be drowning in them, you won't identify any patterns. How will you understand the impact that is there on your website security or performance? And this is where Kibana comes in. So Kibana is a very powerful tool provided by Elasticsearch, which can help you turn your complex logs into clear visualizations and interactive visualizations. So you can have real-time monitoring being done on that. And by transforming these into visualization, you can spot trends, detect anomalies, forecast the patterns, and understand the overall health, because it will improve your time to identify, rectify, and respond to all the problems. So I'll quickly walk you through the architecture that we have set up. So I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
All right. So this is the setup that we've done. We have requests coming from the end users. As Ritika said, load balancer will bifurcate all the requests on both the web servers. Reverse proxy will be responsible for communicating between the users and the requests coming from users and all the responses that are going from the web servers to the users. And WAF will be looking after the security of your web application or service. Now, this is the setup of Elasticsearch cluster that I've done for collecting all the logs from the load balancer, from the WAF, and from the web servers. So the logs go to Logstash. As you know that long text, how will you filter them? So Logstash will have grok patterns that we've made. So I've created grok patterns for load balancer logs, WAF logs, web server logs, which will like divide them into various fields like columns, how we have in databases, similar kind of a thing. So we have indexes here and the fields will be there. And Elasticsearch will store all this data coming from Logstash, and we can easily visualize all these logs on Kibana and create visualizations on our browser. So we'll quickly walk in the first dashboard that we have created. This is the Kibana UI that you are seeing. Today's topic is more based on the logs and the insights we get on the logs. So we won't get into much depths of the system metrics because these are the metrics coming from all the servers. You can have metrics from the load balancers, from all the web servers consolidated in one single dashboard for your CPU usages, memory usages, traffic, loads. So all these kinds of insights can be gotten from here, and your admin people can easily get these insights from one consolidated dashboard. So the first dashboard that we have, the second dashboard that we have is for your web application firewall. So this dashboard is responsible for designing your security purposes. Like it can capture all the potential threats, the attacks, the blocked requests that your application has figured out. So the first visualization is for the top URLs. And by top URLs, you can know that which are the most frequently identified URLs that are receiving disproportionately more number of requests. So let's take the example of first URL. So it might be a case that it could indicate that there's an ongoing attack, say brute force, because it is being excessively hit. So brute force is if someone is trying to, someone is trying to access your URL and it is trying to do some suspicious sign-ins. So all those activities can be figured out from here. Top talkers, by top talkers, we mean is top clients, the top clients that are trying to interact with your web server. So by making the request, if you find that if some particular IP is making a lot of requests on your URL, so you can figure out that if there are some high activity being done from a single IP or a number of IPs, so you can figure out if there are some DDoS attacks going on or some other types of attacks occurring from this. Next is the request distribution. So all your requests coming from the users are divided as blocked request or alerted request. So blocked requests are basically the requests which are, so your WAF will block the requests which are performing some malicious activities or suspicious activities based on your predefined rules or policies. So you can also get to know the trends in which they are working. So this is a trend for your blocked request. This is for your alerted request. You can get all such types of patterns in real-time monitoring. You can also set the date as per your requirement. If you want to go back to some a few months back, you can do that. You can set all the dates. So Kibana is completely interactive. Next is the responses distribution. So this is the breakdown down of all your HTTP response codes that are coming. So you can understand the health of your web application. So if you see here, because this is a dummy setup, you might see there are a lot of zero responses, just to showcase that you can check, you can debug, you can go to your logs on Discover and you can check for those particular status codes, and you'll have all your logs readily available on Kibana itself. So you don't have to go to your web server, log into it, look for the logs and go through that lengthy process. So 0 will be for no response. So you can check out that there might be some network error or some incomplete activities going on. 200 will say that there are successful return code, response codes. 300 series will be for redirection responses. 400 series is for client-side errors. 500 series is for server-side errors. So if you see a lot of 400 and 500 series coming on, they are prone to errors. So you can check for all the activities happening for those status codes. And you can also check for the performance for each of the status codes through this trend. Next is the signatures. So before we get into the 3 visualizations of signatures, violations, and attacks, I'll quickly tell you what these are. So all the attacks that come to your website, they are detected by your violations. And after these violations, they are captured. Your signatures are defined to stop these attacks from coming. So signatures will be your solutions for these violations. So I hope that was clear. So now you can see that XXX scripting has happened. So XXX scripting is someone is trying to scrape the data from your website. So you can check all the signatures, how many signatures, 36 people, 36 records happened for this particular signature. And you can check for the trends, what time they have occurred, what is the pattern. So everything can be readily visible for you. So you don't get these patterns otherwise. Next is the violations distribution. By violations, we mean that what type of violations our WAF has detected. So let's take an example of bot client. So bot client is a traffic which is originating from bots or automated scripts done by someone to try to, attempt attacks or scrape your data. And you can also check for the activities they are performing on your website or application. Next, every violation will be given a rating from 1 to 5. 1 is the least severe, 5 is the most severe, and you can similarly check for the patterns, and you can also go through the logs here again. Now, attack types. So attacks are basically the threats that are coming on your website. And you can see the distribution for each of the attacks. Now we'll just take one example, say forceful browsing. So it is like if someone is trying to gain access of some restricted parts of your application. So you will know how much percentage that had come in, how many records did that, and you can see the trend for each of them. So all the activities, you can correlate to all the activities and get good insights from this. Now GeoMap, you will know that if some requests are legitimate, some might be threat prone. So if you see a lot of requests coming from a particular region, so you will know that the threats are coming from that region. So this will tell you a geographic map from where the clients are trying to request or trying to attempt for attacks. You can also set your tables. Now you can always change this table, the time as per your requirements. So if you want to check that after every 3 hours or after a day, how many requests you are getting and what is the number of times you're getting that method. Again, this is an activities table. You can also give these conditions as per your requirement. So now if you want to check that there's some client IP, what violation it made, did it detect any signatures, what was the attack type that it attempted, what method it did it through, and was it blocked, was it alerted? So here it tried through curl command, it was alerted. So all these records can be easily available. Next, we're going to the web server dashboard. So I hope WAF dashboard was clear to you all. The web server dashboard will basically tell you how well your web servers are working. Since we have 2 web servers in our setup, so we'll get to know that if your load balancer is almost equally distributing your load amongst the 2 web servers or not. And in our case, we have used the round robin method. There are many other methods like IP hashing, least connection. So all these methods can be used for your web server. This is a chart for your request rate. So if you want to know that what is the rate of the request, what are the spikes that are coming, so it can indicate the traffic. So you can decide upon your load balancing, capacity planning. So if there are a lot of requests coming these days, you can plan your capacity as per that. And you can also check for the malicious. So if you have some offers going on your website, so that is some expected spike that you can expect. But if you don't have any offers going on your website or application, but if you still see some spikes going on, then that can be an indication of some attacks going on your web application. This is again the status codes coming on your website. This is an anomaly detection chart. We'll get back to this at the end. URLs is the top URLs that, like, it will give you the top URLs that are being accessed and it will give you the number of records. Again, the status codes, the pattern for each of the status code, the methods, get, put. If you see a lot of delete methods or a lot of put methods, that could indicate that there is some ongoing problem occurring. There are some attacks being made. And you can also see the trend for each of the methods individually. The top talkers is again the top clients that are interacting with your URLs, and the patterns of the clients. So if you see the patterns of the clients, you'll be able to guess that there's something wrong happening with this particular IP. Now, this is a heat map. This tells you about the frequency. This talks in terms of frequency and volume. It will tell you that for a particular client IP, if you want to know that what request did it make, what the status codes were happening for this particular client, you can always set these amount. And as new requests come in, as new client IPs come in, the list gets updated as per the top ones. So if you want to check, see, your 17,598 200 status codes were there for this particular client IP. So similarly, 404, there were how many? 115. So all these insights can be they're readily available on Kibana. You don't have to walk through any of the logs. Now, this is again a chart for all the requests. So this is, let's take an example. This is a client IP. What request URI did it make? What was the status code to it? What request keyword did it insert? And how many records did it come in? So these tables you can always change as per your conditions. You can give the conditions and you will get the output records for it. Next is the load balancer dashboard. In load balancer dashboard, you will get to know again that what methods, as you can see that we do have a few pie charts or visualizations similar to web server. But if you individually want to, analyze just one dashboard at a time, so you can have everything readily available on one single dashboard, and you don't have to jump from web servers to load balancer. That's why it is inserted here as well. Let's get to log levels. So what are log levels? So every request that comes in, it gets a severity message. So in case if it is an error, so there is some severe significant problem going on, it'll give you as an error in the log code. So say now I want to check if there is some error. You can easily just go to your discover page. You can type error and you will get to see all the logs that are prone to errors. So it is readily easily available for you to just go through all the logs. You can elaborate this and you can see all the fields available. What was the event? What did it do? So you can just set the time as per your requirement as I had shown. So it's that easy. You can also check for the patterns of the log levels. Again, the top client IPs that are trying to interact with your user, your website. The top, what were the request statuses and what was the number of times it occurred. Again, this is a heat map for your methods versus your status code in terms of frequency and volume. So every get method will have different responses going on. So for all the responses, what was the count? You will get to know. In the past 30 days, it was 1,67,000 and so on. So heat maps will basically help you correlate with your data. Now,
Mansi, sorry,
yes, sir.
sorry to interrupt. We have actually a hard stop for Jagdish, who is our panelist, and we'll change. Sorry, all the attendees. We'll make a bit of change. So we'll do a panel discussion. We'll take a couple of insights from Jagdish, and we'll come back to this. There are some interesting charts and insights that we definitely want to show you and take you through. So please stay tuned. Mansi, we will come back to this.
Sure. Definitely.
Sorry, Jagdish, we are not able to give enough time to you. I know you have to jump off for a call, but for the attendees, we just want to make sure that they get the value from your insights. And we talked about. So let's straight away start with viewers. Today in this panel discussion, we have Jagdish, we have Bhavya from F5, and we want to get more insight from them and their experiences. So straight away going to you, Jagdish. Can you tell us about, I know Equifax is known to customers by many names and for many businesses. And I know it's such a critical function that it is playing and the kind of request it gets. So can you just give us a gist of its business and digital infrastructure footprint?
Right. Thanks so much, Sachin and team, for getting me on this panel. Thank you very much. Sorry about the fact that I have a hard stop, just back to back about that. Sorry. So very quickly, yes, we are fundamentally a credit bureau. Many of you would have heard of CIBIL. Equifax, Experian, they're all credit bureaus. Basically, all the banks, NBFCs, and other fintech organizations which are involved in lending businesses, etc., send in the data of all the uh, customers with their lending history, trade line history, and basis that fundamentally we have scoring models which is developed over a period of time to ascertain the credit worthiness of the customer and provide the scores, and also a whole bunch of analytics all around it. So that is a nutshell of how it is. And given this nature of the business, obviously it's a massive volume of data that we need to deal with. And that volume is just increasing as the penetration of credit into the country just keeps growing. So that's a very good problem to have. But yes, on the other side, we definitely end up having performance bottlenecks and things like that, the usual glitches once in a while. So we try to make sure that have to be able to crunch all this data, and when there's a customer waiting to get a loan or a credit product, he has to get that score literally real time. And that score factors all his past credit history, getting back to a couple of decades, maybe, or even more. Right. So all of that history gets pulled out very quickly. The score gets computed and sent, all of that in a matter of sub-seconds kind of thing. So that's the sum and substance of the nature of systems that we need to put in place. And that's what we have right now, to try to kind of crunch this data and to produce the scores in real time.
That's great to know. And kind of data and volume we are talking about, that, as you mentioned, almost 1.5 billion or more records come to you every month.
Right.
And processing that and giving it all through the digital infrastructure is not easy. And I know you are using NGINX today, NGINX Plus, for your infrastructure, web infrastructure.
Right.
How do you see these demands on your infrastructure by number of the users, the institutions, to get access to this? And how do you prepare your infrastructure for that? And what role NGINX Plus is playing in your infrastructure?
Yeah, so NGINX, we primarily use it as our overall load balancing sort of framework for most of our applications. And you're right, the user base and the number of institutions that submit and pull the data out keeps increasing exponentially, because we've got fintechs coming up every day, literally nowadays, and they all have huge number of customers because they all operate in the rural, semi-rural areas, semi-urban areas, which are very, very intense in terms of the volumes and loads. So if in this kind of a setup where there is a rapid rise constantly of volumes, a load balance, the NGINX kind of a framework is extremely critical for us to just make sure that we know what's happening. How is our resiliency working? Is something going down? Is everything up and running? The uptimes and all of that stuff is very critical for us to manage through tools like NGINX.
That's great to hear. Definitely, we would like to hear more from you. But I know we actually delayed from our side. We got a few of the initial things a little delayed. But I just want to also get some insights from Bhavya and Jagdish. If your timing is running out, please feel free to jump off. Stay as long as possible. We will have some more questions if you stay.
I do have to step out. I'm sorry.
Sure. No,
we get it.
Thank you. We get it. Thank you. So coming to you, Bhavya, how do you see a lot of customers global you are dealing with as F5 and NGINX? What are you hearing from those large customers? What are the demands they have on their web infrastructure to grow their business?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks, Sachin, for inviting me for this great session, I would say, till now. So specifically on the needs of the hour, or I would say for some of the largest banks or some of the largest ITS companies that we are talking about, one of the key demands that we see today is how can NGINX help customers in their modern app journey? right? Traditionally, we have been seeing a lot of these customers building their apps on monolithic on a three-tier architecture. But today, if you see in this journey of digital transformation, where customers want to quickly spin up their new apps, they have a tight deadline when it comes to the business demands of meeting the needs of uh, giving out new applications in days instead of few weeks or few months, and also ensuring that the applications are highly scalable, uh, and again in a modern app environment. So these are some of the demands that we are seeing that customers have come to us in their modern app journey, and which is where NGINX actually has a very sweet spot in terms of fitting it in the right use cases or the right architectural position, I would say, in the modern app journey. Uh, some of the examples, as I think Rohit covered, was we have a great fitment when it comes to Kubernetes environments or when it comes to the OpenShift or the Tanzu environments. So where customers are building applications around Kubernetes, around microservices, NGINX is playing a key role as an ingress controller, as a sidecar proxy, as a service mesh. The key reason that customers love us is the speed. Second is the scalability of the license. And definitely, we have different options when it comes to licensing as well. So this is how customers have been loving us. And we have use cases across different verticals. I mean, if you, just to give you an example in terms of the speed, we all took a vaccine during COVID, right? And we had to book an appointment through cowin.in. That was the famous website. So in fact, it was NGINX which powered this website during COVID. So just imagine the number of requests that this NGINX web server was able to take during uh, uh, this spike that we had seen in terms of request. Similarly, if you look at any of the uh, net banking applications or the mobile banking applications that the customers today are using, it is all powered with NGINX.
Interesting. Definitely, yes. We have so many use cases for scale. I mean, using NGINX for that matter. But at the also same time, that one of the trends that we see, a lot of cloudification happening, and especially in India now, as we see, whether it is banking or whether it is government entities, cloud is being adopted now for running business critical applications. So in that context, I'm sure NGINX is also evolving. And do you want to give some idea what kind of offerings are coming up to address these things or to take benefits of it?
That's a great question, and that's where the company is working in terms of how do we work with our customers in their cloud journey, leveraging NGINX. All our customers have loved using NGINX on-prem in their data centers, in their colo, in monolithic architectures, or even now in modern apps. But what about cloud, right? So the best part first is that whatever experience that our customers are having on-prem, it is the same experience that the customer can get even on cloud as well. So the same NGINX license which is deployed on-prem can be deployed on cloud. So the performance that customers are expecting on-prem can be delivered on cloud as well. It's again the asynchronous architecture of NGINX which pumps up the performance even on cloud as well. In cloud, customers want auto scaling. Customers want uh, uh, burst, right? Taking spikes, and this is where NGINX plays a very important role. Another collaboration that we have done on cloud is customers can now use NGINX as a SaaS as well. So we have a joint partnership with Azure, where customers can leverage NGINX as a SaaS service on if they are using Azure as of now. We are going to soon launch this on AWS and GCP as well. But to start with, don't buy an NGINX license, but use NGINX as a SaaS service. And to top it up, we have the NGINX One which is available on the F5 SaaS cloud, which is now the management platform. So for a customer who is managing multiple Nginx instances across different clouds or across different data centers, Nginx One will be the single point of contact or the single point of dashboard in terms of reporting, analytics, configuration for all our customers.
That's a great news. And so you are referring to that you will have an instance manager kind of thing available in the cloud you can manage. And when you say it's an instance manager functionality, you can monitor Nginx Plus as well as Nginx community through
Open
the
source as well.
Open source as well. That's wonderful. And that addresses one of the questions that we had received, that how do I manage my community Nginx instances, free and community Nginx instances, and Nginx Instance Manager is the answer. And again, that is available both on-prem as well as on as a service. So I think that's
But you just need to buy the open source subscription to have the ability to manage those licenses. So till now, we only had the Nginx Plus license, which was the enterprise license, which had those additional features of session persistency or HA and things like that. But there were customers who said, no, we are happy with Nginx JOT authentication. We don't need the additional features. What we just need is the support. What we just need is the controller. So for that, we have launched the Nginx open source license subscription, which is now available to all our customers. So customers don't need to migrate to Nginx Plus. They can leverage the Nginx open source subscription, and then you can leverage the power of Nginx One to manage those open source licenses.
That's a great news, and I think that is a good topic to dwell in more detail. Maybe we will try to create one more webinar to go in more details about this offering. How do we help customers really get the power of entire Nginx whether through these new subscriptions? That will be
just one key area that I missed talking about in terms of the use cases. One of the other key use case that has been adopted in the recent times, I think Rohit covered a part of it, was around API security and protection when it comes to the east-west traffic specifically for Kubernetes or for microservices-based architecture. Someone like an NPCI who has built their UPI or the CBDC application on blockchain, they leverage Nginx for securing their APIs, for securing their east-west traffic for modern app architectures. So definitely the same engine which is powering today almost 23 banks in India is being pumped in Nginx, and customers can get the same level of protection for any workload they have been protecting with the big IP platform. So that's some great news, some great use case that we are doing with a lot of our customers in securing their APIs for modern apps, for east-west traffic. And definitely, last but not the least, is the lightweight, is the fastest API gateway that we have on the planet, which is again from Nginx. So, I mean, that's a good investment, I can all say, is with Nginx, a single license.
I mean, that was actually, I was about to come to that question. Final question was east-west traffic, and you answered that. That today, as we saw, we have been talking about that today's traffic is not limited to only north-south traffic. It's east-west that creates a lot of complexity to the customers, and Nginx plays a very crucial role. And you gave really good examples how customers are using at scale. So that's a wonderful insight, Bhavya. Thank you for your time. And sure. I think the attendees, we will go back to the demo. There are a lot of good insights that you can get through this entire demo. So over to you, Mansi. And thank you for your patience, and sorry once again for this change of schedule at the last minute.
No problem. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me quickly share my screen again. So I hope my dashboards are visible. Okay, so we were talking about the byte sent for the load balancer dashboard. This will tell you about what bytes are being sent out of your web server, and you can also check for the pattern and trends if you want to analyze how much data is going. Yes, sir.
Mansi, give a second. Your screen sharing is still coming up, looks
Okay,
like.
give me a minute. I will try to do it again. Yeah, is it visible now?
Not yet. Yeah, now it is.
Now.
Okay, great. So the byte sent visualization of pie chart will tell you that how is the pattern of your bytes being sent out of your web service. So you can analyze the amount of data going out of your web application, and you can also check for the trends as per the IPs, client IPs, and how much bytes were being sent. Next is the top 5 error messages, error keywords that are appearing on your website, and how many records were there for these errors. So you can easily check all the list of the errors that are occurring. Now, this is a heat map for the log levels as per the client IP. So you can check that this is a particular client IP and how many error log levels were appearing for this client IP. So all these insights can be gotten from these kinds of heat map. You can correlate between two fields and the values in each. So we are correlating between the log levels and client IPs and detecting how many errors and how many warnings were there for each of them. Now we'll quickly get into the visualizations for anomaly detections of machine learning. So I have two visualizations as an anomaly detection. So as you are seeing, this is a request pattern trend. This is a visualization for all the requests, the trend that are coming. But how will you detect that the anomalies that are coming for your request patterns? How will you know what is the pattern for the anomalies? So we'll quickly look into that. So this is the anomaly detection dashboard that I've created. Now, this is the dashboard for the cardinality of request keyword. And by cardinality, we mean the uniqueness of the requests that are coming. By uniqueness, I mean that if there is a request dot keyword, so I have done it for request dot keyword, all these options are your unique values that are coming. The request method, what is the resource path it is requesting, and the HTTP protocols. And each will have a different combination. So all these unique values will be your cardinality. So the y-axis will point out the cardinalities that at a particular time frame, the bucket is 15 minutes. So in the last 15 minutes, how many unique values had come? Again, it will jump to the next 15 minutes and it will detect how many unique values had come. So this is about the cardinality, and our x-axis will be the time frame. So we can drag as per our requirement, we can set the time as per our requirement. And the more historical data we provide to our machine learning models, the better our model performs to detect the anomalies. So every anomaly will be given 4 states. The warning stage will be from every anomaly will be given a score basically. The scores will be from 0 to 100. So the warnings will be from the score 0 to the score 24. Minor warnings will be from, minor anomalies will be from 25 to 49. Major will be from 50 to 74. And if it is a very critical anomaly, the score will be given above 75. So as you can see, this was red in color. So the anomaly score is 94, as if you can see in the hovering. And why was that? Because the actual value that is there right now is 348. But typically, we'll quickly jump into this date. So this was 18th of August. We can scroll down here. We can go to 18th of August here. 18th of August anomaly was this. It should have been 3.46. Now, why did it say that this is an anomaly? So in this particular model, say your trend, now this value is 30. Now, if your unique values are directly spiking up to say 377, so that's a huge deviation from the uniqueness. So there were just 30 unique values, but it has jumped to 377. So there might be a possibility of some attacks like DDoS attacks or some kind of an activity happening because there were so many unique values. So these deviations between the number of unique values will tell you if it is an anomaly or not. So so from say 30 unique values, if it comes down to 1, so that is also an anomaly. So the deviation will be flagged as an anomaly for this. So I hope this was clear and you could understand how the anomalies are detected for a single metric. Now let's get to the next anomaly detection that I had created. Now the input that I've provided is 2 inputs. One is the request method that we had seen, this particular thing, and the other metric that I've provided is the client IPs, that which client IPs were involved as a unique parameter. So again, the y-axis is the cardinality. Here, the most important thing is that machine learning learns through all the dimensions. What are the dimensions? As I had told you, get, the request codes. So all these multi dimensions, it studies them, which is not possible otherwise. So now, as you can see in my single metric for multi-metric for the request keyword and the client IPs, I'm filtering it out through the status codes. So for every status code, I will have a visualization of these metrics of the request keyword and client IPs. So let us take an example of this anomaly. So it is in red in color. So the anomaly score is 81. So this anomaly was on 22nd of August. Yeah, 22nd of August. So here the actual value is 23, whereas it should have been around 1. So there should have been around 1 or 2 typical values, because the trend, as you can see here, it is quite beneath, like below, it is just above 0. It is between 0 and 5. So from here, it spiked up to 23. That is why the deviation caused it to be an anomaly. So there were a lot of unique values coming up. And which were the client IPs that resulted in? So you can right away know that which client IPs were influencing this kind of an anomaly. So everything can be readily available to you. You can check for all such anomalies for various other parameters. And you don't have to code everything. You don't have to go through long programs. Elasticsearch provides all such anomalies to be detected right away. So I hope all my visualizations were clear to you, and you could understand how you can interact with all the visualizations and work on the robust and interactive nature of your applications. So I would stop here, and thank you so much. Let me know if you have any doubts.
Thank you, Mansi, for demonstrating how analysis and machine learning, how log analysis and machine learning can improve NGINX web infrastructure availability through proactive insights. Well, yeah, a slight bit of plans, but slight change in plans. But then, yeah, it was really insightful, and I'll just quickly ask the audience to be ready for yet another poll, and the poll will be live in 3, 2, 1. Here it is. Please, guys, just quickly take this poll, and then we'll move on to the next section of our event. Giving it 20 more seconds. Okay, I'll conclude this poll now. All right, so as the panel discussion is done, we are left with Q&A round. I will request all the panelists to take some of the questions if not already answered and attend them if possible. We did have some chats coming up regarding some few questions as well.
So we had a couple of questions, and for the benefit of everyone, I'll just, or do you want to take the last poll and then
okay, yeah, let me do the last poll again. Okay, so let me do the last poll first, and then we'll move on to the Q&A. So here it is, the last poll for the day. You guys have to like specify your answers here in terms of what has been asked to the context. We'll give it a good 1 minute so that you can upload your questions. Also, meanwhile, if anybody has any questions, they can upload it in the Q&A section so that our panel can take it up. Giving it 30 seconds more. Please be quick on this one, everybody. Okay, I'll have to conclude this poll now. Okay, yes. So we are ready with a Q&A section. Sachin, you can take over.
Yeah. So we have the one question was about support for the free and community NGINX. We talked about that. There was another question to get more insights on F5, especially the threat campaign that Rohit talked about. And it says, how does it map to identify the threats? Because we are running in air gap arrangement. So how would it work for us? That was the question. So Rohit or Bhavya, do you want to address that? Maybe we will get back. Bhavya, you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Sachin, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
No worries. The question was, how does the F5 threat campaign that Rohit had shown in his presentation, how does it work, especially if we are using in the air gap arrangement?
Can someone clarify what context the air gap is being mentioned over here? But typically, what I can elaborate is how the thread campaign works here. Basically, that's a subscription that a lot of our customers leverage today, uh, which will actually provide the contextual information about the nature and purpose of any uh, threat, I would say, that's happening across the globe. So just take an example. There is a Log4j attack, and if you have subscribed to this thread campaign subscription and you're using Nginx, so all your workloads or your containers would be protected against such Log4j attacks if you are using this thread campaign subscription. So definitely today we have seen a lot of such orchestrated or targeted or a large scale attacks that are happening across the globe, which are coordinated, right? And we see, that happening in a scale. So if these attacks which are happening in a scale, then this Nginx engine can identify, can correlate, can create a signature on the fly, and it can actually protect your Kubernetes, your microservices architectures as well.
Okay. We have one final question. That is, does Nginx support .NET integration? And I guess this comes in the context of API gateway. When you're talking about your applications developed in .NET. So definitely, yes, your application could be of .NET or so, and Nginx will definitely work with that. So, yeah, anything you want to add, Bhavya?
No, so you answered it right.
Great. So that brings us to the conclusion. Now over to you, Abhishek.
All right. Thank you, Sachin. Thanks, Bhavya, for your insights. That brings us to the close of today's session. We have explored how NGINX and App Protect can help you elevate performance, security, and customer experience. With the insights shared, you are equipped to make a meaningful improvement to your digital infrastructure. Thank you to all our speakers and panelists, and to everyone who joined us. If you're looking to implement these strategies or explore NGINX solutions further, feel free to reach out us at success@ashnik.com. Stay connected with Ashnik as we continue to drive innovation and help you succeed in ever-evolving digital landscape. Have a great day ahead. Thank you. Thank you once again to join.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.